Hi, it's Julianna here from the Discoveries of I write travel guides for smart people who like to do cool things in awesome places, and I am guessing that's you. Today I am going to be talking about a Mexico packing list, what to pack for a trip to Mexico. Now this is probably a little bit beyond the kind of trip where if you're just going to the beach for a couple of days, this is a little bit more advanced than that. So if that's your kind of trip, you probably want to be going to a different packing list. This is for really if you're going to be going to a couple of destinations while you're in Mexico and you want to know what to pack. And that's because I went on a 5-week Mexico road trip recently from Tulum. We went to Merida, we went to San Cristobal de las Casas, Oaxaca, Campeche, Mexico City. We were all over. And actually, if you want to read about that or watch about that, I'm going to link to that right now. But one of the things that you always have a problem with if you're moving between a couple of destinations and you're not just going to a hotel is, well, what should I pack? What should I pack? Because you need to be going to the beach. It's Mexico. I mean, you're pretty much going to be going to the beach. You're going to be moving around, doing lots and lots of different things. And so this Mexico packing list is going to help you with that. We all have those things that we can never travel without. And in my case, it is sheet masks. I love a couple of sheet masks. At home, I try and make my own face mask, but when I'm traveling, it's not really practical. So a couple of sheet masks. And also my other secret thing is rosehip oil for my face. Like literally traveling really can mess up your skin. And so I just like to use rosehip oil when I'm traveling. What are the things that you always travel with? Drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear it. If you're also looking for more Mexico travel tips, I have created a series of videos from my Mexico trip. So first of all, there are Mexico travel tips video, which has gone up recently. I'll link to that now. There is a things to do in Tulum, a Oaxaca travel guide. There are just quite a few videos on Mexico from my Mexico trip. So if you are planning your trip to Mexico right now, I would go and check those out afterwards. It definitely will help you to plan and to get ready to have an amazing time, because that's what we all want, isn't it? The first things first that I'm going to start with is the things that you bring in your carry-on. Now what is in your carry-on? I tend to just bring a small backpack, a small day pack, because they're just pretty useful. I know that if you are traveling from the US, you might be thinking about traveling carry-on only. I'm from the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent. So I'm generally traveling with a hold bag. So in my carry-on, there are a couple of things that I'm definitely always going to be putting in there. The first of all is my passport. Don't forget your passport. I actually started putting mine in a passport holder. I never used to. I used to travel all the time. Never used to put my passport in a passport holder. And then actually my passport got in such bad condition that I got told off by several sets of immigration officials in different countries. So now I put mine into a passport holder, passport in there. Obviously you want to bring any cards that you need. This is not my credit card. But also don't forget things like if you're planning to go and do some activities, I dive, so I always make sure that I bring my PADI card just to say that I'm certified and that I'm qualified to dive. So in that goes. Then there are just things like obviously your battery pack. I have had these battery packs. I've got 3 of them, 2 big ones and 1 small one. I don't actually travel with all 3 of them. I normally just travel with the big one in my carry-on because it lasts forever. So even if your flight's delayed, this is going to last forever. Like I can charge my phone 4 or 5 times off of this, and at a push I can kind of run my laptop on it too. This one's from Anchor. It's one of their older models, and as I said, I've just had it for years. So they've got newer ones that are a bit smaller, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. Sunnies, because unlike here in the UK, there is actually sunshine in Mexico. So that is definitely one of the things going into my carry-on. A Kindle, because I love a hardback book or a paperback book. I have got just so many books, as you can probably see from my bookcase behind me actually. But when you're traveling, it does make sense to travel light. and it's always good to have stuff to read. I mean, I can't deal with traveling without anything to read, so always have my Kindle with me, and it's quite useful. I mean, you can put your travel guide onto your Kindle. I've tried it a few times. I don't really like it because it's difficult to flick through between destinations and places, and just like, you know, when you earmark things in your travel guide. But if you want to put it on your Kindle, you totally can. Headphones, you can use noise cancelling headphones, and I do quite often, but I'm a big fan of just like wireless headphones. Obviously you can get noise cancelling wireless ones. I broke mine, so I'm currently using these Beats ones, but to be honest, as soon as they're in your ear, you don't hear anything. So I fly with these in all the time, and I'm not hearing other people, which is ultimately the nirvana of flying, isn't it? You just don't want to hear other people, apart from maybe people that you're flying with. So headphones, then charging cables. This one's a really short one. I like it because it just doesn't like end up getting all tangled up in everything. And I think that is it for carry-on. So also, if you want, you can make sure that you carry anything that you need to make your flight easier. So I generally fly with an eye mask and a neck pillow. I mean, these are all kind of basic carry-on essentials. I'll be doing a separate video on that another day. Just make sure you bring anything in your carry-on that you need. Oh, and a sun hat, because it's just really nice, I think, to when you get somewhere and you're really hot and you're tired and probably your hair's a mess. My hair's always a mess. Just a nice foldable sun hat. I got this one from Jigsaw ages ago and I've had it for years, but it's really useful because you can just like literally fold it up and it bounces out again, so it's super easy. I love this hat. That always goes in my little carry-on, and maybe you can bring like a little dress or something if you think you're going to want to get changed. Carry-on done. No, carry-on not done. Oops. I can't believe that I forgot any cameras that you travel with. I tend to travel with my GoPro Hero. This is just like for underwater stuff because I love to swim and dive and, like, you know, always good for underwater. I also travel with the Sony a6500, which is what I'm filming this on, so I'm not going to be showing you. And because I'm a full-time travel blogger, I travel with tons of camera kit, so I'm not going to go into loads of detail, but I have a gimbal and things like that just for video content creation, which I'm guessing you don't need to. I also have spare batteries and all of that, so I'm guessing that you don't need that stuff, so I'm not going to go into any detail on that. But I'll drop some links in the show notes below just to show you what kind of kit I'm using in case you're looking at getting a setup and want to travel and capture content professionally. This is what I'm using. Moving on to clothes, before I actually get started on what exactly I bring, I'm just going to give you a couple of tips that are going to help you think about which clothes to bring for your Mexico trip. The key to a comfortable trip in Mexico, I think, is loose and light clothing. So lightweight, breathable clothing. It is hot in most of the country. There are obviously mountainous regions like Chiapas that are a bit chillier, but even then during the day they are very hot. So you want to be making sure that you're bringing kind of lightweight, breathable clothing, and then probably just like a few layers for if it gets chillier in the evening or again in those mountainous regions. And also just outside of the beach resorts, Mexico is a surprisingly conservative country. Not crazily conservative, but you're gonna be probably a little bit more comfortable if you're not wearing something ridiculously revealing. I mean, that is completely up to you. I am not here to shame you about what you decide to wear, but I personally just don't feel comfortable if I'm wearing stuff that's way more revealing than the locals would. But that is completely up to you. I don't think anyone in Mexico is going to be incredibly offended about it, and it's not like you're traveling to certain countries where it is really, really frowned upon. So it is your choice. Another two things that you want to consider about when you're packing for Mexico: is it the rainy season, which generally runs from May, June to October, November. You probably just want to bring some like a waterproof layer. And also, are you going to be going to altitude, which I've talked about? So places like Oaxaca and Chiapas are pretty high, they're chillier. And a third thing is mosquitoes. Now, there is a slight risk of stuff like malaria and dengue in certain parts of Mexico. I've talked about this in my Mexico travel tips video. Being bitten by mosquitoes is not pleasant, and there are mosquitoes in Mexico, particularly in the coastal areas like Tulum. I stayed in Tulum for a couple of weeks, and there were tons and tons of mosquitoes, particularly in the rainy season. They can be very, very vicious. So just like wear clothing that covers up as much as possible. Otherwise you might find yourself just being a mosquito feast, which isn't a really pleasant thing to do. I wanted to just take a second to talk about very, very quickly about packing cubes. And I have to be honest, I'm still on the fence about packing cubes. I was a massive, massive fan. Then I've not been such a fan. I just find that it just takes loads of time to pack them. And I'm not really sure if it's just that beneficial in the long run. I started using packing cubes and then I just realised that a couple of days into a trip, I wasn't putting stuff back into them, so my suitcase was getting kind of disorganised anyway. And also, like, how much stuff are you bringing? Unless you're backpacking, which I really do think then they're probably more useful. On a normal trip, I just don't think you need them. So bye. And on to clothing. So I've got a big pile of clothing here. Let's start with tops. So you're going to want some tops and dresses. I always bring, like, you know, a couple of nice evening-y daytime tops that roll up really small. I'm a big roller, by the way, so I just literally like will roll and put. I'm not going to do that for everything, otherwise we'll be here forever. I've got this like nice kind of silk DKNY top, which is just really nice for like if you're going out to bars in the evening. Again, folds up really small, so I essentially just want to make sure that it rolls up really small, apart from some of the warmer layers. You know, I just think when you are packing, I don't always necessarily recommend traveling with white clothing, but you do want to be thinking about breathable clothing, because you just don't want to be wearing stuff that's going to get really sweaty after a while. And I've got a couple more nice tops. I do want to look nice, but I don't want to like look like I've run off a catwalk or come off a runway. So I generally just bring a couple of nice tops with me. Then you're going to want to have some bottoms. So I bought these trousers from Zara ages ago. I love a lightweight trouser. They look pretty smart, but they're just such an easy thing. I'm a big fan of bright colours as well. Some shorts. These ones, again, just kind of cute, easy. Doesn't matter if they get wet, you can stick them on after the beach. I mean, I wouldn't stick them on just after you've got out of the sea, because you're going to get a pretty distinct wet bum mark with these ones, but there are other things that we're going to talk about for that. And a pair of leggings. So again, leggings, really nice, lightweight. I generally will wear a pair of leggings on the plane because I like to have like everything covered, because you know how planes can get really hot or really cold, you can't tell which. So I like to bring a pair of leggings. Next up is dresses. So I have some nice dresses. Again, this is like a really lightweight denim, very breathable. It is a little short. It's kind of a beach cover-up / dress. You can get away with wearing it as a dress on a beach area. No one minds a bit of pan flashing when you're on a beach. I just like to travel with a couple of nice things. Not loads and loads, as I said, but it is nice to have a dress that you can just wear in the evening that is your go-to like evening dress. I know some people want to be bringing tons and tons of dresses and having fierce looks every day. I can't say I'm one of them, but I have had this Dion von Furstenberg dress, and it's just such a nice dress to travel with because it's just so light. It's an easy win. I also tend to travel with a longer tea dress. If you've watched any of my travel stuff, followed me on Instagram at The Discoveries Of, by the way, or read any of my blog posts, chances are you've seen this dress because I wear this dress all the time. Again, I have no shame about wearing stuff repeatedly in photos. I do think in this time of consumerism, we're encouraged to buy loads and loads of stuff, and you can't possibly look the same in 2 different videos or 2 different pictures and do it for the gram, buy it for the gram. You just don't need to. No one really cares, and if they do, you shouldn't care about them. Another dress here, which is just a thicker day to night dress. You can wear it in the evening or in the daytime, which is really nice, but it's not so heavyweight that if I wore it in the daytime, I'd be sweating. As I said, big fan of colour right here, so you're going to be seeing a lot of colours. And then last is my jumpsuit. This one's really nice because it's, again, very, very lightweight, really thin, breathable cotton. I think I look cute in this jumpsuit. Then just a couple of cover-ups and things to make sure that you are keeping warm. So on the beach, I love to wear this. I just found this and I now wear it on every trip because it's just so handy. I have also been known to wear this to Glastonbury Festival and pretend that I'm an owl. We won't talk about that. But it is really, really handy, and you can wear it just nice as a cover up on the beach. Nice to have something that's going to help protect you a little bit from the sun, but at the same time you're not just like lying there in your swimsuit or bikini, which is also totally fine. A lightweight jacket. It's a nice jacket, it's handy. I always throw it on in the evening. It folds up small, but I do tend to chuck it in my carry-on bag with me, again in case things get a bit chilly, or I just put it on in the evening, go to bars. It looks kind of smart, but it's really easy to travel with. Something distinctly less glamorous is my hoodie. I don't expect you guys to be traveling with something quite as dank as this, and it's just kind of warm and a bit fluffy on the inside. And so again, when you're in the regions like Chiapas and Oaxaca, the temperature drops so cold at night, and so you're not going to care about looking really glamorous, or maybe you do and just buy a more glamorous cardigan or cover up, but you're definitely going to want something that's going to keep you a bit warmer, which is for me this kind of skanky hoodie. Do I need to talk to you about undies and socks and various things? Like, I don't think I do. I've just, you know, just take it that I've got underwear and socks and things that I just bring with me. I'm trying to find... Oh yeah, no, here's my bra. They are really big these days. These babies are getting quite large, so my bras are distinctly unsexy, absolutely massive, but you know, practical. I'd love to be one of those people that are like, I just bring sports bras because they fold up really small. I can't bring sports bras that fold up really small because my tits are too big. Go do all that. If yours are smaller, bring sports bras that fold up really small, like little bralettes. I'm so jealous. Okay, so we have done most of our packing. That is looking really dreadful. FYI, my suitcase is just a basic trip hard case. I do like it because it's got two compartments, as you see. It opens in half. I use one half for shoes, which we'll talk about afterwards, and all my toiletries and stuff go in one half, and then my clothes and stuff go in the other half. Again, this is why I don't really think you need packing cubes, because if you've got a suitcase like this, it just has natural division between it, and you're not having everything all in one side. Swimwear. So I've got some kind of cute swimsuits. I've got some bikinis, again because fuller figure, big tits. I mean, this is not practical, but I did love the print, so I bought it. It does look cute if I just wear it as a bandeau, but honestly, if I wore these, I would get garroted, like guillotined at the neck, so thanks for that, bra person. More swimwear. I mean, oh, this is one of my favorites from Bieber. Super cute, right? I love a cute swimsuit and also a cute bikini. I tend to wear more swimsuits now because I've gained a reasonable amount of weight recently, but you know, sometimes I wear a bikini still. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Then I do tend to go to the gym, so I am going to bring, like, you know, some gym clothes, gym leggings, which I can also wear just as normal leggings. If you are going to bring sportswear, just be realistic with yourself. Are you actually going to go for a run or go to the gym? Because it's just more stuff that takes up extra space in your luggage. But if you're not going to realistically use the gym, then just think about whether you want to bring it. And onto a few like basic things. So a travel towel is always really useful. I use these Dock and Bay ones. I've actually got a couple of these because they double up as like just a kind of cute beach towel. You can see the little thing here. Roll them out on the beach, but then they still fold up really, really small. Depending on the trip, sometimes I bring an extra small travel towel separately if I think I'm going to be going to the beach every day. But if you're staying in a hotel, they're generally going to provide towels, so I only just bring this beach towel with me these days. A little spare bag which opens up. I use this as a laundry bag, so just stick that into your suitcase. You can travel with just more of a cloth laundry bag, but I actually think those ones are way more useful because they fold up a bit smaller. And then a little small bag, which is just really handy because you're like going out at various places and you sometimes don't want to bring, you know, your big day pack backpack. I mean, who wants to go to a bar with that? Not me. For me, it's like, can I fit my camera? Can I fit my purse? Do I need anything else? Maybe a spare lipstick. Good to go. I've covered a couple of electronics already, but there are a couple of other things that I would want to talk about. So electronics wise, always useful to have a multi-adapter travel plug. If you are coming from the US, Mexico actually uses the same 2-pin 110 voltage system, so you won't need an adapter. But if you're coming from the UK or any other country that doesn't use the 2-pin, you're going to need an adapter. I like to throw one in the bag and one in the carry-on. So good to have a couple of those extra. Obviously then you want to have any cables that you need. Little portable Bluetooth speaker is very handy. This one's from Ultimate Ears. It's like a mini boom or something. Had it for years. Really handy though because it's very small, so you want to make sure it's small. But then just don't be a dick with your Bluetooth speakers, because you can just be sitting there, you're like reading a book, everyone's chilling out, and then someone just puts on some crappy, it's always the people with the worst music taste, isn't it? Puts on their crappy music really loud, and then you're like, thanks, could you not just use your earphones for that? Just use your earphones. But yeah, Bluetooth speaker, very, very useful. That brings me on to shoes. Now, you just need to think about what you're going to be doing, but there are a few basics that is just very, very useful to have with you. First of all, pair of trainers. I bring my sports shoes because I do tend to go to the gym. Pair of flip-flops for your time on the beach. I wear my Birkenstocks a lot. They're just so comfortable to walk in and they let your feet breathe. You might want to consider bringing a pair of jelly shoes or beach shoes. I tend to wear these if I am in the sea and it's a bit rocky underfoot, or like there's coral underfoot. Just stops your feet from getting cut. My partner mocks me mercilessly for it, but I don't have cut feet and sometimes he does, so who's laughing now, John? Did have a pair of Toms, also very comfortable, but they are now so dirty that I'm about to put them in the wash, but I just like fished them out for this packing list. Lucky you, get to look at my dirty shoes. You just, again, as I said, you need to think about what you're going to be doing during the trip, but generally those are the kind of basics. Just a pair of trainers, a pair of flip-flops, a pair of beach shoes if you want, and something that you can wear in the evening too. I'm not going to go through all of the toiletries and cosmetics, but I'm just going to run through a few pointers with you. Again, you want to make sure that you're bringing sun cream because the sun in Mexico is hot. Now this one isn't, but you really should try and get reef-friendly sun cream, because in places like Akumal, where you swim with the turtles, you're not actually allowed to wear non-reef friendly sun cream because it messes with the marine ecosystem. So you should really try and get some reef friendly sun cream. You have to bring some mosquito repellent. I always get bitten, but when I travel with my partner, I get bitten loads and he just doesn't get bitten at all. So I always travel with like really strong, deep mosquito repellent. I have tried things like citronella, they just don't work for me. But if they do work for you, do try and use like, you know, kind of bio-friendly ones. And also some cooling spray for when you inevitably get bitten by a mosquito, and mine like just swell up really massively, so I tend to use some cooling spray. Cosmetics, I mean, you can go with what you want. I really love a like red lipstick or a bright lipstick. That's my go-to look. Bright lipstick, bit of concealer, bit of stuff to give me eyebrows, job done. Mexico is hot, so you don't want to look like a hot mess. Don't put on piles and piles of makeup because you are going to sweat it off, or you're just going to feel really uncomfortable and your face is going to feel like it can't breathe. Now, I don't actually have any of these with me, but you want to be thinking about some things just in case you get Montezuma's Revenge, or to stave off Montezuma's Revenge, you want some Imodium or some activated charcoal. Activated charcoal actually works really, really well. Some rehydration tablets or sachets in case you do end up with a touch of funny stomach. paracetamol, try and avoid the sun, drink plenty of water, bring a reusable water bottle, but also bring a SteriPen or some form of filtration system to make sure that you can use the water, because most of the tap water in Mexico is not drinkable. So you want to bring a SteriPen and then use a reusable water bottle. And because I am bougie and I'm British, I bring my own tea with me, which is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? But you just can't get good tea when you're traveling, and so I always bring some tea with me. And I actually tend to bring my little French press, so I bring a little stainless steel French press, because the coffee in Mexico is amazing, but it's really hard to get your hands on a decent cup of coffee. So I always just bring a little French press with me, buy some amazing coffee beans or buy some amazing coffee grounds, and then make my own amazing coffee with it. Brilliant. Then it's really down to a few miscellaneous things that are still very, very important. First of all, make sure that you have travel insurance. I've said this in my Mexico travel tips videos, but if you can't afford travel insurance, you basically can't afford to travel. It just covers you in case something happens when you're on a trip, whether that is your baggage being delayed, your flight being cancelled, you getting really ill and needing medical help. All of these things, you like to think they're never going to happen, but they do happen from time to time, and you want to make sure that you have travel insurance to cover it off. Bring copies of your passport and any identification documents. So I just bring a photocopy, and I generally stick that somewhere safe, whether that is in my in the hotel safe or in my suitcase, just somewhere separate to your actual passport. And I make sure that I have a copy on email so that I can produce it if in case my passport gets lost or something. Obviously a little Spanish phrase book. Stick Google Translate on your phone for sure, but this is just really handy if you can just flick through stuff and see it really quickly. A waterproof phone case, also very good. And then you want to be thinking about your mobile phone. So pre-activate roaming if you need to. You can buy a SIM card at supermarkets or at the airport when you get to Mexico. If you don't have roaming, I would say that's the best thing to do. I'm not a big fan of Skyroam. I actually think buying a local SIM card is just so much cheaper and easy. Mosquito coils or killer mosquito spray for your room. You might want to think about that. I'm very, very paranoid about mosquitoes, so I always buy a few coils and stick those in my room, but I tend to buy those when I get there. I don't bring them with me. So that is what you should be bringing on your Mexico trip, but here are a few pointers about what not to bring. First of all, if you have a drone, I wouldn't bring a drone to Mexico. I traveled there recently on that 5-week trip. I have a drone, I looked at it, and the regulations say that you should be registered in order to bring your drone to Mexico or fly your drone in Mexico. And when I looked, it looked like you needed to have a residence identification number in order to get that registration. So basically, it boiled down to you shouldn't really bring a drone if you're coming from abroad. Gone are the days when you needed to take loads of cash in advance and bring it with you. You can now use the ATMs. You can pay by card in lots of places. Don't bring tons and tons of cash, because you're just setting yourself up to either lose it or get some stolen or whatever. And the same goes for valuables. There's no point in bringing loads and loads of expensive jewelry. I just find traveling with that stuff is a bit stressful, but also you just mostly don't really need to at all, and so if you don't need to, don't do it. And there we are, Mexico packing list complete. I hope that you found this useful and you are hyped for your Mexico trip. It's going to be banging, I assure you. You're going to have a good time. Now, as I said, I have posted quite a few videos about planning travels to Mexico, so if you want to check those out, go and check those out. I'm going to link to a couple in a second. And also don't forget to hit subscribe and the notifications bell for practical as fuck travel advice to help you rock your trip. I am Julianna Barnaby from the Discoveries of. I hope you have an amazing trip and see you.